Hi everyone, welcome back to the Property Finance Podcast, and today I want to talk about the broker's role in kind of the funding stack, if you like, and how brokers can kind of go beyond just rate chasing. So for us, one of the things that I like to get involved in is I like to get involved in actually structuring the deal. So what I say to clients is, look, bring me the deal when you first identify the opportunity. Let's sit together, let's go through the deal in a fair amount of detail. Let's run through kind of what your build costs are. So this is talking more about developments and refurbs. Let's talk about what your build costs are. Let's talk about the GDVs. Let's work out what those two numbers are. And then let's sit together and go from that point of the GDV. Let's work the residual value back from there. Let's say GDV is X amount. Let's work out your profit. Let's take that off. Let's take your build costs off. And let's work out what you can offer. And then it's not only about generating that offer, it's actually about sitting together and going, right, okay, how much cash have you got available? What assets have you got? Understanding you as a person, as a client, kind of what you can bring to the table, what are you bringing to this deal? And then sitting and going, right, okay, well, you could offer this, and you could offer that as a cash purchase or using investors or whatever it may be. Or what you could do is you could structure something where you have a deferred payment or vendor finance or maybe an option agreement or an exchange delay completion. And I've done podcasts on all of those strategies individually. But what we do is we then identify kind of each of these strategies and we say, right, okay, well, you could offer that under that one, that under that one, that under that one, that under that one. Let's put these four together, or five, however many we end up with. Let's put those to the vendor and let's see what the vendor comes back with. So then we'll sit and kind of go through all of that, work all that out, put it to the vendor, see what the vendor comes back with. So I enjoy getting involved in that side of things. Once we've done that, we've got involved in the actual structuring of the deal and getting something agreed, then it's a case of going to the lenders and saying, right, we've got this agreed. This is what we're doing. This is how it's structured. This is what the client is like. This is what the client's bringing to the table. This is how much cash the client's got. Then it's a case of, and I mentioned this on a previous episode, it's a case of working out your battery. So you've got to get to 100% charge. So that 100% charge is 100% of the money that you need in the deal. So you imagine that money in the deal as a battery. So for example, your build plus your purchase plus your soft costs, everything else, you need 100 grand to go into this deal, as in like all of those costs together is 100 grand. So what you'll do is you'll say, right, okay, well, the development finance or the refurb finance is coming in. That's giving me 60% of that amount, or 70 or 80%, whatever the figure is. Right, okay, I know based on this battery that I've got 80% of what I need. Right, okay, let's sit down and let's work out, is mezzanine finance an option here? So second charge finance, can we look at putting some of that in? What's your portfolio looking like? Have you got equity in your main residence? Have you got equity in another investment property? Could we potentially raise money against those? Because what we could do is we could add in a second property to this original property, then do a loan over both, and that should get to 100% of the charge on that battery. If that's not an option, okay, well, let's have a think about investors. Do we need to bring in a professional equity investor? And we've got access to some, and we've done a few equity loans. We've got one at the moment where we've just extended a loan that we did originally. Client investor put 30 grand in. He's going to get paid back about 43 grand. So that's a nice little investment for him. So it doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of pounds. It doesn't have to be millions. He's put a small loan in, which helped get the client's deal over the line. And it was a decent sized development deal as well. So they only had a very, very marginal shortfall. So he's put 30 grand in. That's then covered that, and they're going to pay him back 43. So again, there's kind of private investors and equity partners we can go to, but it may be a case of actually sitting down and going, and this comes back to where we can kind of help is, right, let's put an investor pack together. Let's sit down together. Let's put everything together on the deal. Let's put together what's coming from the main lender. Let's put together what's coming from mezzanine finance. Let's put together what's coming from you personally. Let's put together what's coming from assets, all of that. Let's put it into a pack. Let's work all the numbers out, and then let's present something to investors. It may be people that you know, and it's a case of going, right, okay, here's the pack, now present it to people. Or we might say, well, actually, we've got a few people we can send it to as well. So that's how we then kind of get involved in raising potentially the equity as well. So at that stage, we should then have a situation where we've managed to get the structure of the deal done. We've managed to work out what the vendor's happy with, how it's all structured on the purchase, managed to sit down and work out all of the money, all of the finances, and get all of the lending in place. So you're then in a position to push forward. Where we kind of get involved there is we have obviously professionals that we refer, so accountants, solicitors, architects, project managers, contractors, etc. And we can kind of help put that professional team together. So we might sit with you and say, all right, okay, have you thought about getting a good accountant? Speak to this accountant. We know good accountants. Have you got a project manager on board? No? Okay, well, think about speaking to this person. Have you got a good planning consultant or architect on board? No? Okay, right, speak to this person. And it's about putting that professional team together. And most of the time, what you tend to find is you've got to put the deal together, you've got to put the money together, and then you've got to put the team together. And it sort of depends on the order you want to do things, but I tend to find deal, money, team is kind of the order that I tend to work in. And the reason being is because there's no point putting the team together if you haven't got a deal that they can work on. And there's no point putting the team together if you haven't got the money to pay them. So that's why I tend to work in that order. So once you've kind of got the team together, and we will help you put that team together, it's then a case of just trying to progress things as quickly as possible. And as part of that finance structure bit that we've put together in the middle, it's not just about rate chasing. It's about finding a lender who wants to work with you, grow with you, isn't going to charge you the earth on the first deal and then not support you on the second one. It's about working with a lender who charges you fairly and also who will stick with you when things go wrong as well. So that's what we do as part of that funding, is obviously putting lenders in place who are going to grow and build a relationship with you moving forward. Once a deal's done, completed, you're working through it and everything else, we probably won't speak to each other for 9 to 12 months, other than kind of little updates here and there as to how the project's going. We'll then get involved in one or two ways, or one or three ways. Either one, we won't get involved at all. You'll go sell it. You'll do really well. Everything else, perfect. Kind of the ideal situation. I don't really want to talk to clients again after we've done the loan, unless it's for another property, because if I don't speak to them again, it means something's gone right. So that's ideal. The second one is that we will speak to you again because you want to refinance the property. So it may be a planned refinance or it may be an unplanned refinance, but that's a situation where we'll then get involved in obviously structuring the refinance. If it's a planned refinance, we tend to get involved a bit earlier. So before we actually put the main finance in place, we'll work with you to work out what the refinance will look like as well. The third one is where we actually earn our fee, I think, personally. And the reason being is because people moan about paying broker fees. And they say, I don't want to pay a broker. Why do I pay a broker? Blah, blah, blah. The reason you pay a broker actually isn't for the front end. The front end is great. And if they can save you money at the front end, great. Okay, they've kind of covered their cost. Where a broker really earns their money is when shit hits the fan. And the reason I say that is because we have deals where clients come to us and they're maybe 9 months into the build and they've had a cost overrun, or the lender's buggering about with drawdowns. They're in a really stressful situation. We can then come in and go, right, okay, have you thought about doing this? And we can kind of help manage that process through. Hopefully you'll never need that service. But I think when people say about not paying broker fees or getting annoyed about paying broker fees, I think it's like insurance. You pay your insurance premium every month in the hopes that you'll never use it. You pay a broker fee in the hopes that you'll never have to go back to your broker and explain that something's gone wrong. So I think it's there as a thing of, okay, I've paid the broker fee. The broker's then sticking by me up until the very end of the project. So we're then there if something goes wrong. We can then come in and help try and manage it through. We can speak to the lenders, try and manage that process. We've got a client at the moment who's going through an insolvency, and we've managed to get involved pretty early on, and we've managed to restructure their finances on their existing projects, which means that they're now protected. They're potentially going to raise money to pay off the insolvency. So it just means that in terms of being able to get in early, had they not involved us, or let's say they'd refused to pay a broker fee and had kind of gotten funny about it and we hadn't stuck around in that relationship, then I think what might have happened is that insolvency may have gone south pretty quickly and they may have lost some of the assets. So by us coming in, we've managed to save the overall picture. We've managed to actually raise some finance on top of that as well. And we've got another one as well where another client's going through insolvency at the moment as well. And again, that one's a bit more involved. But again, we've been involved throughout the entire process and almost taken on kind of an FD role or at times project management role, procurement role, all sorts of different things. So in terms of how does the broker get involved, I think to a certain degree, your broker can be your best friend on a deal. They really can be, because they can save you money in every single column. They can refer you to every possible person you could ever want to know, from estate agents, solicitors, accountants, project managers, contractors, you name it. They can refer a fair few of the professional team. Then it's a case of not only can they save money on all these columns, they're also there when things go wrong as well. And they can act as the middleman between you and the lender, because the lenders do get overly frustrated and aggressive sometimes. And a broker can just come in, calm that situation down, and hopefully see it through to an amicable conclusion all round. And I think that's where brokers really can be invaluable. And obviously, all this has just been a big sales pitch from me, basically. But hopefully that's helpful and gives you a bit of an idea of what brokers do. And this isn't just about justifying the role of brokers. This is about kind of showing you what's possible, because I don't think people utilize brokers enough. I think they tend to just go, oh, get me some interest rates. Oh yeah, let's just do the finance. They don't think about the fact that brokers, maybe not every broker does this, but it's something we do, which is trying to get involved in all of these extra nuances of the deal. But yeah, hopefully that's been really helpful. I really would appreciate it if you have enjoyed this, or if you have found it helpful in any way, please do like, subscribe, share it on social media, fling it around all your mates. And yeah, just generally leave reviews, that kind of thing, because it does help the podcast grow. And we are in the process of obviously trying to build the podcast as much as we can, getting sponsors, that kind of thing. So yeah, any love you can show the podcast would be really appreciated. Well, otherwise, thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next one.